still available as well. So Jarvan and Nocturne Xin are your go-tos, and where we're looking at with top lane already, Gwen taken out of the equation, so could be delving a little deeper into those picks as well.
Zero going to be the last band to come through here, so Xin Zhao remains very apparent in this game, but so does LPL Kaisa. Had a high regard until last week. We did see some Kaisas take some L's, but still renowned around the space.
Okay, so an engaged support already mandated, really, by WE. They had their fun with Ezreal Karma, now they're saying, okay, we're going to go and we're going to do it the right way, do it the LPL way almost, and force an advantage through that bot lane once again. Again, first pick of the junglers was WE's, but they opted for this Kai'Sa. Instead, Weibo go straight away for that Xin Zhao, the premier pick left up and available. And now what are they going to look to take? An early mid laner, top laner maybe? I'm trying to think of those highly prized mid lane picks. Still got things like your Annie, like your Galio as well, that could very easily pivot to an all-in comp for Weibo.
Fearless has really thinned out the Xiaohu herd by this point. I would think, you know, top 3 champions have seen him play the most in Split 3 by this point. Aurora, Victor, and Orianna got to be pretty close up towards that top 3 space. So I like that they're just getting him the Annie, very simplistic, you know, can be punished in lane, but the long-range auto attacks make it hard for it to happen unless there's a jungler presence coming online. I think this is a safe pick for Xiaohu to be able to impact the game outside of the early game phase where Weibo have felt most potent, especially in that last game. There's your engage support, though, you're asking for, Root.
Yeah, and importantly as well, with the Victor taken off the board, the answer to the Annie that we typically see is also nullified in the previous Fearless format. But you are quite right, the Rel comes in for the Kai'Sa, so something to help set up for Taeyoon to get back into that backline. And a Renekton taken early on here by Cube, so a stable top lane presence. But it does mean that that jungle pool, once again, open to getting pinched. Looking at that second round of bans, your Jarvans, Nocturnes still could be something to be taken off the board, and I think especially up against a Annie who's immobile, could see an immobile AD carry locked in here for Light. Looking at, you know, maybe even something a bit deeper like a Jinx, but Lucian could also be the contest as we move into the second round of picks. They elect to take topside instead, and they are going to match the Renekton with a Jace, a very volatile matchup, but one that can be quite handily dealt with. As the Jace, the second the Renekton hops on in, you just hammer form E him out away.
Exactly. This top lane matchup is fun because it's a lesson in respecting space up against the Jace and respecting the all-in for the Renekton side of it. Love the Olaf ban. That's Monki special that he likes to go towards. We saw him pull out a Game 2 win almost single-handedly in a lot of aspects up against BLG playing this one. So that one gets out of the way. Get rid of some dash champions. I feel like WE may be setting up for that Jarvan you were calling out here. Lucian's off the board. You have no dash Ezreal here. You have no Corki here. Not a lot of AD carries with the reliable dashes that are going to be left up.
And then just looking really at what the composition for Weibo wants to do here. A little bit already confused because you've got some really good go in and engage potential between the Xin Zhao and the Annie. But then on the flip side, you've got Jace, who kind of wants to play at range, has the option to go in if necessary, but more typically used for that poke. So we'll see what it is that Weibo round out their composition with the Rel already locked in. You know what you're playing up against. Could go for a Braum if you want to, and make it so that you are beginning to be this full sit-back pivot sort of kite composition. Which, again, it's possible with the Jace and with the Brahms to try and absorb some engages, but that does relinquish some of what your Annie and your Xin Zhao want to do. So it's not a complete identity switch up for Weibo, and they might just be able to do two things, not necessarily do either one of them super effectively. As we're looking at WE's comp, who are all dive, right? Like, they are just going to go forward regardless of what they've drafted. And I think that, you know, you're looking at the picks that we could see here. Jarvan and Nocturne still both available. We even have Vi, again, another pick that just takes down a target. But you haven't banned Xayah. And I think that if you lock in this Vi here, it's just an insta-slam for Xayah for Light.
I like you're manifesting it through word of mouth here, dude. There just can't be another pick, and it will come across. It's very fun. I do want to point out really quickly, very funny that we had 2 games from NIP where they played, in those 2 games, their mid-jungle played Pantheon Taliyah and Vi Galio. So WE have now played Pantheon Taliyah, win. Vi Galio if you want to go off this this line of thinking, like NIP, should be a win.
I'm skeptical for WE.
I agree.
Because they have... Weibo decided to pivot their composition after R1, R2. So they have this Xin Zhao Annie duo who can function when they're being dove on, right? Don't get me wrong. Xin Zhao, really happy, but he kind of prefers to be the one creating space as opposed to having to take it back, let's say. Annie as well, being dove on, if she doesn't get one shot, can do things in a team fight with Tibbers walking around as well. But I really want to keep our eyes on Light. Like, he is just the quintessential carry for this team once again. He's got the peel offered open to him by the Braum, the ability to stun people coming on in, and that Feather Storm as well is just such a useful tool for him. If he gets targeted by the Vi, targeted by the Galio, he can pop that go to safety and then maybe start to reset the fight.
Headline here for me, out of draft, Weibo have answers to what WE are bringing. You mentioned the Annie, the Xayah, but even this top lane, I think Jace can slow down the Renekton that needs to spike mid-game and really be a nuisance constantly side laning if Breathe can have his way in this matchup that we have him favored in and highlighted in our pre-show. But all that is behind us. What is now a final game on Summoner's Rift and a final round of Jaios.
That's woefully underwhelming.
Jaios weren't, though. Both sides still very passionate, knowing that the series hinges completely on this final game. As we get our look at our computer database saying that Weibo are the team to try and beat in the early phase.
Yeah, so early stages can have Weibo coming out on top, but then as we get a little bit later on, I think the point and click for WE might be able to do enough to take down some of the other members of Weibo Gaming, and then the eyes are on Light. I do think that importantly for WE, they have got a lot of targets that they can focus. For example, Breathe, Xiaohu, I do think that both of those are going to struggle. If they get jumped on, if this Vi Galio combo is to be successful, the issue then is that Light is going to be free hitting that whole time, and that can cause its own problems. So we'll see whether or not Weibo can address those, or whether WE are going to be able to run through this early game, maybe a little bit anti what the bot had established.
Speaking on that bottom lane, instead of the bot predicting how the lanes play, we've seen a lot of Taeyoon and Vampire in good spots to trade aggressively. The Israel Karma last game, markedly a big spot. They are in a bit of a different territory because early game, I think both the value of Xayah into Kaisa is massive, and then Braum with those concussive blows stacking can really shut down Vampire as well. So Taeyoon and Vampire, I think, have to exercise a lot of caution in this lane. As I say that, though, they do get level 2 first, so that's a good start for a Kaisa that, again, is one of the weakest AD carries in lane phase.
Yeah, and for me that's somewhat surprising as well, right? Braum, theoretically, a really good answer to the Rel. Kaisa in the laning phase as well. Notoriously, like you say, quite weak and definitely punished by the Xayah. So then getting level 2 first down on that bot side is a very big boost for WE, and not something that we would have anticipated should be allowed to happen. But I'll be interested to see what Taeyoon goes for. We see a couple of AD carries opting into, you know, things like Terminus and going more on-hit style after their first 2 items. We also see some people still sticking to the tried and true AP flex after those couple of items have been finished off.
Tian taking a page out of his jungle counterpart here, being a nuisance on early first clears. Doesn't become the wind becomes lightning, but Monkey's going to face check the brush, and Tian wants to dash back in, gets the first knock up. Red buff advantage towards Monkey, and another nice dodge, another W out of Tian. C is on a ward, and he's going to commit onto the blue buff, and Monkey goes for the wrap, but Xiaohu has first beat towards this topside jungle. Monkey going to blast cone over. No, he's not just going to let his buff go quietly into the night, but he's going to get stunned up. Tian going to look for the engage with a flash taunt. Flashed away by Tian expertly as he dashes back in, but the knockups do layer. Monkey very low, has to flash himself out of the wind, becomes lightning. And with Breathe having first track, all of that expended for a blue buff steal, classic LPL fashion. This Vampire now has to burn another summoner. So that is 3 flashes gone in about 15 seconds from WE.
Early play going very well for Weibo there on the top side. Karis with a double flash in. Immediate flash out from Tian not to get caught up in the taunt. Keeps himself safe and actually is able to secure that blue buff as well. So it's just a steal away. It's just a win for Weibo, even though it looks like a little bit of time wasted. Able to steal away that buff and will go back to his own side of the map and secure all of that as well. What we didn't really get to take too much stock of during all of that was actually that Breathe was the difference maker. WE were forced to go back to base because this Jace got the first move out of topside. Because Cube was left under his turret and not able to follow the Jace, that meant that Weibo were able to stay in the jungle, take it without control or without too much contest.
Jace, oh, hold on, engage on the Xiaohu. Taunt, stuns, Larry. Xiaohu though has stun, and there's just not enough damage between a Galio and a Rel.
Yeah, I mean, once again, look at all the damage that they've built up. We have a null magic mantle and a Doran shield,
Holy
and then
smokes.
a ruby crystal. Fortunately for Xiaohu, Molten Shield is able to keep him out and keep him safe enough in that mid lane. Wise of him not to burn his flash as well. Drake, though, live down on that bot side, and again, to highlight something that should not be happening at all, Taeyoon with an unexpected advantage in this bot side duo. He's gone back to base, picked up a cull, and has actually picked up a couple of really solid waves of experience, a CS advantage as well. But sorry, the call for light, I should say, it's going to slow down the way in which the Kai'Sa can get to that space and maybe give the Xayah a bit more acceleration into the mid game.
Despite the damage boost over towards Taeyoon right now, it's still the push for Light in Crisp, as they are the much scarier 2v2, and Tian is going to lean on that bottom lane and go through the motions perfectly. Bot wave shoved under turret, Light and Crisp pop up towards that Drake and secure that one. Monki is going to go fishing for a camp steal. He's going to find the chickens in trade here. As WE's bottom lane have no business trying to stop this dragon. They have no business trying to stop this dragon.
Do take a good chunk out of Crisp's HP bar and probably reaffirm themselves control over the spot side. But I'm once again, I'm really scared for the WE composition just because Braum absolutely destroys everything that they're looking to accomplish. You have 5 divers going into the backline and just getting stunned by concussive blows by the Jace, who's going to be able to immediately trigger that with the W, by a Xayah who's going to have an attack speed steroid, and a Xin Zhao as well, who can immediately look to stun and knock up after the fact. If we get to see these big 5 versus 5s and WE are entering them when they've got any semblance or without any semblance of a gold lead, that's when they're going to struggle.
Oh, wow. All right. Over index top side, 1 versus 3. Breathe gonna get stunned up. Dominus pop flashes away from the stun onto Cube, and the wave is gone. And that TP, even though it is the support, you sucked. Yep.
Is unfortunate for WE. They were committing onto that top side. They do burn Breathe Splash. So with any luck, they can look to rinse and repeat that.
Not right now, though, guys. Not right now. You don't have a wave. You don't have a Dominus Renekton. You have a heal and a Vampire that's going to die. Breathe is not going to unless he takes one with him. And Cube's Flash also expended. A lot used just to trade with a Jace in the top side.
Yeah, they knew that they were happy for Vampire to die, and I actually liked that Vampire sacrificed his life there. As now Xiaohu, is he just going to tank the turret here?
I mean, he has Tibbers. He can drop it onto 2 members. Ball breaker, there's the stun, hits both members. 1 kill for Xiaohu, but a Hero's Entrance is coming across. Good flash out, but Xiaohu takes up the turret, eats the taunt, and Karis is able to answer the roam in space. Ooh. Great flash from Crisp over to hit the nice Q there. It's actually a win for Weibo. Crisp is picking up right where he left off after his first MVP performance of the split in Game 2.
Flash in, smashes him with a Winter Spite. Lovely stuff. That was really well played by Crisp, and a great collapse by Weibo in the long run. As Breathe is able to take a 1-for-1, Xiaohu's able to close out and find another one, and now Vampire able to Ferromancy out to safety. But for Weibo, starting off this game nice and strong, and again their composition just does so well as this game gets later. WE going to be really struggling to find access to this Xayah, and I think that Light is that linchpin for this squad.
Here's another spot where we're just worried about WE. They aren't in a spot to really contest these grubs. They don't win the fight, and here's Weibo showing why. This Vampire's health bar is extinguished. There's the Killer's Instinct. They'll back over. They're going to turn it on its head. Tian goes down. The dive threat of WE showing up here as we now get into a pretty awkward and audacious 3 versus 3. Karis waiting on the Winter's Bite. He's going to go in, land one top, but he does get stunned back up. And you're allowing for Light to just stack lethal tempo, set up for a big Feather Storm. The Blade Callback is going to hit on a Monki. The stun lands. Vault Breaker going to buy him just enough space, but WE stayed around way too long there.
And they're punished for it. Slayer losing out on their mid laner as well. Karis eating forward, and if you don't hit somebody with that Justice Punch, it's so difficult to actually try and find any form of fight afterwards. A one-man taunt, really not enough in that situation. And you can just see the power that the Braum provides in this instance. He walks up as the solo front line, and then when Vampire goes in, he's immediately shoved back out. Really well-timed present guard by Tian. It is unfortunate that he gets traded back onto him. Karis uses the flash to chain that CC. So then you've got Blue Buff blocking all of these skill shots and sort of acting as a fourth member for both of these sides. As soon as you go back in here as Karis, you've already signed your own fate. Light with the ult, he knows that he's got nothing to really be worried about, and even weaves a QE combo in at the end there. So he's able to find the route onto Monki, force that flash out to safety as well. Really solid performance from Weibo Gaming, and with that double kill on that fight for Light, he's going to be accelerated toward that Yuntal. Going to be very happy with his state and his phase in the game, despite the fact that the gold lead only 1k.
It's an uncomfortable spot to be in for WE, who we've highlighted as a team that is so predicated on early game advantages and kind of just looking to snowball through a lot of their game wins. It's been few and far between where they're able to come back from an early deficit, because they usually just get really desperate really quickly, Roodood, to try and force those same plays that look really flashy and nice when you're ahead.
Yeah, and then when you're behind, it loses you the game even faster as well. Which, you know, maybe it may end up being the cause, may end up being the reasoning for why they're going for it, but the only way out is through for this WE composition. They're not a comp that can sit back and wait to be engaged on and hopes to win like that. It's, you have to keep Vi ulting, you have to keep Galio ulting, you know, the procedure doesn't change as Taeyoon's now caught.
Knock up, season assist turn, crescent guard. Taeyoon's gonna have to ult if he wants to get in to hit onto this Sinzal, but look at Light's damage. The Yuntal difference as you coined it, Roodood, and he's looking to make more problems for Taeyoon. The blast cone saves him for now, but now Breathe has arrived, and Xiaohu, if he guesses right with this W, is a free kill, and oh, he's gonna miss the W. Okay, all right, it's a kill. They got it. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, and I mean, even still, like, that fight is so clearly won by Weibo. For WE, this game just gets harder and harder every time they go for a fight. And it doesn't work out for them, the game gets that much more difficult, and it means that the next fight they have to execute on even better, and at a certain point, it just does not become particularly possible. I don't think we're there yet. I do think that WE still have a bit of time to try and find their way back in, but they're going to need to wait for another cease and desist and another go-round with these cooldowns. Vi without the Galio there, you can see particularly underwhelming. The second that Monki jumps in, he gets hit by a Vi Q, he gets by a Braum Q, gets CC, gets stunned, then gets rooted, and the entire time Light's just unchecked.
The value of this R5 is just so extreme. It was a worry for us when the Vi came through into the Xayah. And while most, you know, fed 80 carries out of an early game, you could routinely look to try and punish, right? Commit on a dive comp, commit a lot towards him. It's just the worst 80 carry to have to try and shut down with the Xayah. Anyone else, you know, like Lucian, a Jinx, a Zeri, even when they're mobile-ish, they still are a threat to die with summoners down, but Xayah ult is just, it's just different than the rest. And, well, so is Light's damage right now. That's Vampire flashing away from one Winter's Bite stun landed.
So the bright side here for WE is that they looked really good in game one. And if we look at how we think they're going to do in the play-ins, they could do very well. And I think that for WE, they always show us really good bright spots, and they always show us that there is a world where they can beat the best, literally the best teams in their series up against BLG. They took 2 games off of them in one in each of those series, but they're just not able to convert on these series wins in percent. Now looking for maybe another play down on this bot side instead just to defend, but like, with 13.5 minutes in, the plates are still up, and it feels like even though this gold lead is by no means astronomical, it's 2k in total, just the way that the compositions are going to look to function is so much more difficult to see function and to see any real success for WE come through.
Just feels like Crisp is always in the right spot on this prom. Wherever WE are looking to make a play, oh yeah, sure, you're going to dive onto Breathe. Okay, I'm going to make sure that he's able to trade. Oh, you're going to look for another bot side play overload with Monki. Oh, Crisp is there. You called out how he is petrifying to this WE draft, but if he's not in the right spots to use that prom, it doesn't really matter. That's not the case. Crisp has just been locked in, following around these main engage tools for WE. You're seeing it right now. Monki and Vampire on the top side. Crisp is there.
Importantly, he's there as well with that first item picked up. The redemption we saw Crisp take in game number 2 was really solid for slowing down how quickly WE could push through a fight. And again, it's the same sort of token that we get to see from the support of Weibo in this second game. You highlighted that he's everywhere. I mean, the kill participation shows that, highest on his squad, 6 of 7. Of those kills, Crisp has been there to help out, to contribute in some way. Now Weibo looking forward, 2,500 gold lead, looking to take this Rift Herald. They've got 2 Drakes already, with their soul point spawning in 90 seconds. If they can find this Herald nice and quickly, then start to push themselves toward that Dragon. This is how they want to play out the next couple of minutes. But importantly, I think we've hit Q Evolve for Taeyoon now, so
yep,
we might be waiting on one more level, in fact, before that actually does come through. It's very close with that pickaxe in the inventory, but this is free time for Breathe right now. He's going to get this turret uncontested, and look at what's happening on the rest of the map for WE. What are they getting here, Slayer?
Yeah, it's so nice to see Breathe get to lock this Jason and play, again, what we highlighted he does best, we feel like. He's such a great, he understands so greatly how to play the side lanes, when his windows are to step up, when he has to back off, and how him being a threat on the other side of the map, like you called out, WE thought they were postures for a Rift Herald. They have to scatter Q back down to pick up that wave, and that ushers the rest of Weibo in with the inside track towards the Rift Herald. But they are on a ward, and Monki is going to try and make it an issue. Can he get over the wall, though, in time before Tian secures it? No, Tian's going to pick it up. They get feats of strength, and now they're even looking for the engage on a Vampire. Here is the dive combo coming across, though. But Light, he pops the Featherstorm again. It's too hard to kill this damn Saya. And now all of Weibo are going to just crush down WE like that. It's a triple kill over to Breathe, and this game might just already be over.
Yeah, like I said, that the power of this Braum pick, the power of this Xayah pick is just too high. WE, they decided to go for a full dive composition, and instead of looking for the Xayah ban, they went for a Lucian at some stage as well. Look on the left-hand side, I think the observers are going to show this. They prioritized Vi Galio combo, but Xiaohu, or is it Breathe? Somebody hits the cone as the hero's entrance is started. Oh. So they don't get the CC chain. Light gets to call the Featherstorm, and yes, Taeyoon dives in, but they just can't do nearly enough damage. The Galio's not a factor, and unfortunate positioning from Karis catches himself off guard, and really well played once again by Breathe. One cone has single-handedly disrupted the entire fight for WE.
Now the mad scramble's on for WE. I mean, they're chasing in a jungle that they have no business being near. Monki flashes back out. Vampire also committing all these flashes. Defensive flashes from a dive comp. It's never boding well. But look at this flank coming out from Xiaohu and Light on the back end. Monki and company are pouring on to Tian, who flashes back out, but they are being wrapped and packed in like a nice burrito. A treat for Weibo to feast on after they lock down this series win. Here comes another banging fight for Weibo Gaming.
4 for 1. They sacrificed Tian, but the only member to get out is Vampire, and look where he's recalling on the minimap, outside the base of Weibo. They're leaving him out of mercy to tell the story of his fallen comrades. And I hope that we get a replay of that fight, and I hope that we get to see Light splash once again, because it paints the perfect picture for this game and for this series as well. The tier 2 turret down on the bot side will fall. Herald in their back pocket meant that Weibo never really struggling to get through this. And WE just consistently have to keep going for these fights. It may seem like they're trolling, like they're griefing, but I cannot emphasize how much worse this game gets the later it goes. This is their best chance to fight. It is always right for WE to fight to get themselves back into this game. The longer they wait, the longer they let Light scale up, the worse it will get for them. Xiaohu flashing in, you can see, finds a really good stun, but the mechanics of this don't matter. Light's flash here. Karis, he charges up Justice Punch. Light flashes on top of him so he can't get out to safety.
Do you know how good things have to be going in a game if your AD carry is flashing to cancel dashes with his body? That is a cardinal sin of any AD carry, but when you're up, like Weibo are up, why not?
And I mean, like I say, I said it in the replay, I'll say it again. There is no bad time for WE to fight. They're down 8k gold, but the game doesn't get easier from here. They're just going to get consistently, perpetually outscaled. They can't just sit and wait.
It's a paradox.
For Weibo to wait for the game to be over, right? Like, Weibo are just going to win if they stay like this, and WE have got to go for those plays every single time.
Hey, I mean, Cube should get a bountied up tier 1 turret on the bot side. Don't look top side. Yeah. No, we don't need to point that out. There's definitely not 3 members here for a tier 1 turret from WE.
They might go for tier 2.
Yes.
It's the hope.
That is a hope. I will label it that. Can I interest you in a much faster traded tier 2 turret for the guy with way too many items to burn through it? Oh, there's Breathe.
Yeah. And
Demolish, of course, yeah. Because why not?
And potentially Tian and Light as well.
Oh, they're gonna get a 2-for-1 special here, Roodood. Look at this, mid tier 1 turret or tier 2 turret now.
Okay. You know what? They're getting gold. They're getting gold, right? And again, they have to do something. If they just sat and tried to play standard, trade on lanes, they'd lose. That's just the way that this game would go. They're looking to try and see if there's a TP angle for Karis, and Vampire ghosting forward. What are you doing, buddy?
Boom!
Okay. Yeah, that one was not advised. I can understand trading the tier 2 turrets. That one, I'm less inclined to say that there was reasoning behind.
Breathe, that's a pink ward, man. All right. Just walks through that one. Breathe, there's some more pink wards scattered about. They know he's in that bush. They have too many wards.
Here we go, here we go.
All right, all out for Breathe. Killer Instinct, all the dashes, 3 members on top of Breathe. There's an 1,000 gold shut down over to Monki. They set the trap and sprung it, but now there's no way out. They are way too deep in enemy territory, so they're just going to fight their way back out. They actually get Xiaohu stunned up and locked out, but here comes Light in a funnel. It's just a flurry of feathers and kills scrapped up by the Weibo carry. Weibo AD carry. Karis and Vampire are the only ones to get out, but hey, that's a win for WE. Those are some juicy shutdowns they were able to grab.
Do you know what? That's a win for WE. Somehow still, they will probably take that. They got 2 kills. They lose out on 3. And the shutdowns that Monki just got, you know, not too bad. I don't think they know. I think Vampire, are they going for a long play? This
is a really long play.
He's cooking something up.
There we go.
Right.
Back towards the recall. And that's a Chemtech soul. Is this the earliest soul ever? This is gonna be 22 and a half minutes. Do we have statisticians to get on that?
It's definitely very early. It's definitely very early. And this is the engage that needed to work. You can see Karis, instead of using his ulti to follow up, he uses his flash and his taunt, which actually ends up boding quite well because he can then use the hero's entrance for when people actually commit onto Taeyoon, who here, you know, caught between turrets. Never mind, Karis is dead.
Oh, caster curse.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. All right, here comes the next siege. Is Weibo are not going to look to slow down whatsoever. They don't really care about either of their wave states. Yeah, and they're like, okay, let's see how many more turrets.
Would you like our Nexus? I can interest you in a Nexus for a tier 1 turret.
Guys, our Nexus turrets respawn now, okay? It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Taeyoon, yeah, you can channel your back now. There's nothing to worry about here. No, we've got our base covered. Cube, yeah, it's fine. You're going to get Taeyoon's reset. Guys, Taeyoon's back in base. All right, let's look to find where did our Renekton go?
One more wave, one more chance.
All right, there's the turret gun. Our Nexus is exposed. Now we shall fight with Vampire and the hero's entrance. But where did Vampire go? He's dead. Killer Instinct on the back line. Nice kill picked up, though. They do finally kill off Light, but it's just too little too late. The rest of Weibo are way too far ahead, and they are silencing the Game 1 shouts from WE. Weibo moved to 500 in group ahead.
23 minutes 48 or something like that on the timer at the end. That was a demonstration of demolition by Weibo Gaming. An absolute slaughter in the back half of this series. Like, game 2, WE had a little bit of something to bite about in the early game. Game 3, Weibo just slapped them around, to be honest.
I have a perfect way to describe how this Weibo series. By game 3, much like our awesome producer Kai figuring out my camera, Weibo figured out WE when it mattered most.
Yeah, they really stood no chance, unfortunately, and this is why I'm excited by Weibo for games like this, where in 23 minutes they have a soul, they can't get Baron, but they've got pretty much everything else to go for as well, and any time that there's a play being made onto them, they are respecting it, but they're also responding to it as well, and that they really don't let anything go unpunished. I don't quite know what Weibo are going to be looking at from that game specifically, because they were pretty convincing throughout, but they did do a really good job at just making sure that despite all of the weird Hail Marys that WE went for, they never actually lost out on a play.
Rude, the execution was there. We already talked about that. We're going to talk endlessly about that. Where do you scale this from 1 to 10 on draft gap?
Again, like it's probably like a 7 or an 8 for that. Like it's so much easier for Weibo to play this game than it is for WE. But I think that WE could have done other things, right? Play around or play away from the Braum. As difficult as Chris made that. They shouldn't be looking to commit onto the Xayah. They should be looking to commit onto the Annie, onto the Jace, try and find those plays elsewise. But even then, when they did go for a top lane dive, we saw them try to focus Breathe, who was 100% health, versus the Renekton, who's already 50% HP. They want to go for a dive there, and Vampire has to sacrifice himself to make that dive happen. They then couldn't really do anything extra over that. They get the Jace, but then lose 2 afterwards. And I think that, yes, the Xayah made it so much easier for Weibo, and it put WE into a real big hole. But there were definitely things they could have done better. Like, yes, they were put into a bit of a difficult spot, but they also didn't really mechanically make their way out of it too much easier either.
And I got to applaud we already talked. You just talked about how the draft gap is really apparent, but countering W's playstyle was really apparent in this early game too, right? They kind of figured out, all right, this is how Monki likes to operate no matter what jungle he's playing. So Tian makes it a point now with finally having 2 really pivotal pushing lanes, which is one way to counter W's playstyle. Take notes, other group Ascent teams. You can now let your jungler slow down Monki early so he can never get towards those unique ganks. He can never get a lane ahead because it's impossible to ever do so. Weibo, I have to applaud how they evolved through the series to figure out, not from just draft, but from a stylistic standpoint, to slow WE down to a grinding halt.
Yeah, and I mean, for the most part, like they did that from the get-go, right? Like we saw in game number 3 at least. In game number 1, it was very fundamentally WE having a really solid game. Game number 2, they started out well, and then game number 3, there was just nothing good to talk about for WE at all. Like, I think they had the right idea, fortunately, in game number 3, where they just went, okay, we have to keep going forward, and that's it. But this is another good game where Crisp on this Braum, I mean, this game, 96% kill participation is absolutely crazy. And you can see that they may not be most difficult Braum mechanics, but support mechanics, I'll say more than anything, where he stood in the right place at the right time is the most important part of this, where he's just constantly being at the right place.
I just want to watch this He really thought that like maybe like flash or at least move.
Oh, I think he just missed. I don't think it was. I think he was like, oh well, I'll just throw this. And my mouse is in the right spot.
Missing. Oh, blast cone for you. But this really highlights what you're talking about, right? From the draft standpoint, if this wasn't a Braum and a Xayah, maybe you kill off this bottom lane much quicker in that fight. Maybe they don't survive long enough. It's a whole different ball game, I feel like.
Absolutely. And you are absolutely right, where just the smallest parts going a little bit better for WE could have changed the game astronomically. It's the same thing. Do you remember back to game number 1 where we see Light cancel an auto attack on the Varus and all of a sudden the game's over because the snowball comes through? If any one of these fights had have gone slightly differently, then maybe we get to see WE start to snowball and start to maybe come back in this game. But they never really had that opportunity, and you know they in the end kind of broke out and realized that they needed to try and do something a bit too crazy, and what they went for was a bit of a base trade where they wanted a tier 1 turret in mid lane in exchange for their Nexus, and unfortunately, we all know how that ended up ending.
Hey, listen, those turrets had bounties, all right, Rude?
They did.
The gold EV play there was pretty high, is all I'll say.
Yeah, the Nexus is only worth 50 gold, guys, so it does make sense to try and trade that.
Yeah, bountied up turret, that's, I mean, how much better of an investment can that be? I'm not going to do any more math. It's too early in my day to do that by this point. Let's talk MVP, though, real quick, Roodood. Do you think this is a shoo-in for a light given over? I feel like Chris should get consideration again, but I also think that light is just kind of running this game.
I mean, getting a Braum MVP is very impressive. I wouldn't be surprised. But equally, like, it's very difficult to look good on Braum just because the champion's so boring. He just does 1-2 things where he just auto-attacks somebody, puts a shield up, and that's like it. But again, I kind of think that Crisp was rather instrumental, so any of the bot lanes, really. Yeah.
Ah, there you go.
A Braum MVP!
There you go, Crisp. Talked a lot about the jungle carousel in the LPL. A little bit more we talked about the support carousel. Crisp now really starting to find his groove on Weibo ever since joining over to the squad here. He gets back-to-back MVPs, his first 2 of the split.
My favorite part about this for the LPL broadcast is that they have to do a highlight reel of Braum, which is just him walking around slowly auto-attacking and then putting up a shield occasionally.
We didn't get to see the whole thing, but remember, it started out with a banger, all right? The flash Q max range, that was pretty cool. Yeah, we missed that. All right, let's check out some of these Braum highlights.
Look at how well the Braum's doing. Good knock up. Now look at Braum. He's walking. He autoed one person. He autoed another person. Oh my God, Crisp!
This is hilarious. He's just spacing. Oh, look at that, another max range Q.
Look at the Braum. He's doing so well.
I mean, you know, I'm kind of getting sold on these Braum highlights. He interrupted a dash there with Glacial Fissure.
Another one. Flash.
All right. That's
Ulti's
another
nobody.
2, man. I think 2 people.
That missed. Sure. They definitely missed. And then,
hey, look, he lives. He lives on 1 HP. Whoa, highlight. Crisp gets out with 10 HP on the Braum.
Another Q. Oh, my God.
Chris, we're just memeing you because you were too good today, all right? We got to take you down with peg.
Yeah, it was really good.
Let's talk really quickly before we get out of here, Rude, on the state of Group Ascend. I've been told we have updated standings, and I really think they're going to highlight what you started our show off with. Again, it's forming the three thirds. BLGTS, the middle, FPXWE.
Yeah, and importantly as well for Weibo, they keep themselves in that middle. I think we'd have to start discussing the bridge that would have happened if we had a 1-win, 2-win, 3-win situation in the bottom of Ascend, but it's just not the case. Unfortunately enough for Weibo now, they find themselves currently in that top 4. They will have to find a win up against one of those stronger teams. I'm thinking AL, that series is going to be really important. If Weibo can beat JDG and AL, then they might have a shoe-in for that top 4. Similarly, though, in Nirvana as well, we have our couple of teams already secured 4 play-ins. And importantly as well, I'm pretty sure that these 2 teams are secured at top 2. Unless LGD and EDG go on a complete anti-run of what they're doing at the minute, those 2 teams will, NIP and EDG, be the top 2 already.
So Nirvana started to get figured out. Group Ascend falling into these 3 categories. Yeah, they're already gonna be locked in. So they are locked in, top 2. Group Nirvana, but Group Ascend still a lot to figure out over there. We talked a lot though on the show about, you know, what helps run our you know, kind of community-led broadcast. We shouted out the coffee supporters, ProDiv.gg, one more shout out to them as one of our sponsors, but the last and maybe most important shout out goes to our Elite Coffee supporters. Thank you very much to our Elite Coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Mong, Forest Without, and owners of a Silmaril. Their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an LPL English product every day. Roodood, shout out to these Elite Coffee supporters, but again, we always have to just thank everybody that pops into the chat, on Twitch, on YouTube, the subs, everything, the interactions. It's what drives this broadcast and has all year long since its conception at the start of the year.
Yeah, exactly. If you know, enjoying the broadcast, consider being able to support us in however you can. We are running this off of our own backs with no expectations of anything, but anything that you can provide is always very useful to us. And for the LPL as well, we do it for the love of the region at this point. Like, we had 2 really good series today where we got to see NIP quite handily take a 2-0, and then we got to see Weibo demolish WE in a game number 3 as well.
It's a fun day. It wouldn't have had it any other way, Roodood, as we get to capture another Beard Bros broadcast. I now bid you adieu to your nice holiday. Enjoy that and your time away from the LPL. Other shout-outs obviously go to our amazing producer, Kai, behind the scenes. Shout-out to Izzy as he put together some of the fun graphics we saw on the broadcast today as well. And shout-out to all you at home. And you know to return, twitch.tv/LPL English for more action tomorrow as we try and figure out what Group Ascend looks like, who our Split 3 champion is, and most important, who are our 4 teams we send to Worlds. All that and more coming throughout the rest of the month. But for now, take care and see you later.